Today we welcome Sanjay Chopra, co-founder and CEO of Cognistics. How are you guys?
Good. How are you, Mary?
Not too bad. I'm excited to dive into some artificial intelligence today because I just feel like it's one of those things that everybody's like artificial intelligence is for big big data, big math, it's for robots and everything, but it's actually extremely applicable to supply chains and transportation. So, artificial intelligence for supply chains is quite a hot topic. It's kind of become a thing that you hear about more than you did even 6 months to a year ago. But how exactly does implementing AI help with day-to-day operations? Like, does it help facilitate load planning? Does it help operational efficiencies, or does it help optimize networks?
Absolutely. So there's many ways. So Mary, just to give you an idea, AI basically works on the basis of data. And what it can do really, really well is analyze the data. The better data you have, the cleaner data you have, the better results AI can share with you. So a few areas where it's sort of very helpful for logistics and trucking companies. One is demand forecasting. How much will my customers need? When will they need it? Uh, which commodity? How many units do we need to deliver? So if you have good historical data, if you know the seasonality and demand, you can build really good and sophisticated and accurate AI ML models to forecast your demand. Then obviously being able to forecast demand uh, leads to many operational efficiencies. You can deliver on time, you can deliver the right amount of goods. Another area where AI can also help is route planning and optimization. So if you have trucks going around delivering to many different customers, what is the best route to take? The old way to do this used to be a traveling salesman problem. So that's been in computer science for a long, long time. Now we have sophisticated models that take many different variables into account to come up with the optimal route uh, to deliver the goods, in a most cost-effective manner, yet in a very timely manner for customers. So it really helps improve customer satisfaction and deliver value to an organization.
So, what you're saying is you can optimize routes more than just someone sitting there staring at Google. Someone sitting there staring at Google Maps, putting all the destinations in. Turns out you can kind of outsource that a little bit and get something that types a lot faster than a human.
That more faster than a human and more optimal than a human, sort of, because it can take into account many different variables. Traffic pattern, weather, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. It can look at when it needs to be there, congestions, fuel utilization. So the more factors you put into the model, it can sort of ingest all this information and come up with the best routes.
So what you're saying is you could almost with the clean with like so with good data, you could almost optimize a route where your driver doesn't have to sit in traffic. Like you don't have to sit through the middle of Atlanta rush hour where it takes you over an hour to get from one side of town to the other.
Yeah, it'll minimize the traffic wait time. More importantly, it'll minimize driver wait time once they get to a destination. So they got there too early, they got there too late, the customer was not ready, other things happen. You'd be able to forecast and plan things better using good AI.
I absolutely love that. I think that there's a bunch of wasted time that exists within the supply chain. That's not a secret. I always complain about how, we need to keep drivers moving, we need to keep everybody going. And, you really kind of have to, like, there's a finite amount of time in the day. So you really have to work with what you've got. And you don't want to waste anyone's time because that's just leaving money on the table. And nobody wants to do that.
It is, especially in this tight labor market, where there's a lot of turnover from a driver perspective. What it can also lead is to better satisfaction. You can even plan and predict how much revenue a driver would make, reduce the time they're spending away from their family. So there's lots of intangible benefits of doing this and doing this right. And then obviously the labor utilization at a a warehouse perspective also. Sort of if a truck comes, you need to make sure there's guys there with dollies and cranes and forklifts available to unload the goods from what truck, load them up so you can go in and out quickly. So all those things play hand in hand but the key is to have good data.
I love it. I think that's fantastic. So when a company wants to start implementing some sort of artificial intelligence or kind of really figure out like where should they start when they just kind of go like, "Ooh, I think I could use this," or "This sounds like something that would be extremely beneficial, but I have no idea where to start." What's your first step that you recommend?
The first step we recommend is to do a data analysis or a data study where we go in and we see the quality of data that they have available. Do they have clean data? Have they been recording things appropriately from a historical perspective, revenue perspective, demand perspective? So once we've analyzed the data to make sure that there's clean data available, that's when you then to begin to test some of the models. So we also sort of can help clean the data. If you know, most companies are not really what we call AI ready or AI enabled, meaning their data is not quite there to build the models. Because if you put build models on garbage data, you're going to get garbage results. It's the whole garbage in, garbage out philosophy. So clean the data, put lots of business rules, put lots of AI and ML scenarios, and begin to then test the models to see what results we get. Validate those to make sure with the subject matter experts with that given company and deliver from that point forward. That's the best way going forward.
So what is some of the long-term success that comes with having clean data? Like what's, I guess like for those that don't necessarily like, well, my data's fine, but it like like you mentioned, it might be more of like a garbage data. What's some of the long-term success that comes with that, and why should there be such an importance or such an emphasis on having it?
Great question, Mary. That's absolutely a great question. So think about a company sort of which has doesn't have clean data. Now what you're doing is you're basing operational decisions based on that data. Just an example, like we were talking about in terms of route optimization, let's say if you don't know the address of a customer, you don't have the right address. The customer has moved, and you still have the old address on file. You did a reasonable plan, but you had the wrong address. The driver shows up there, tries to make a delivery, the driver is going to get frustrated. That delivery is not going to be in time, and it's going to cascade and put all the deliveries potentially for that particular route in jeopardy. So, just a simple example of having clean address information, up to date address information for your clients makes a big difference. Second part is if you don't have clean data, you're not being able to forecast demand, and you show up to make a delivery, and the guy says, "Hey, I already have a lot of those. I don't have any place to put them anymore. We didn't need this, but you were on a sort of schedule to make the deliveries. Now you're over delivering." Worst scenario is because you don't have good demand forecasting or your planning systems don't have good data, you are making you don't get in time and you make a delivery where the customers run out, so they're now calling you, "Hey, where are my waffle fries, or where are my chicken nuggets, or XYZ commodity?" And now you have to sort of have a delivery, specifically go to that particular location to prevent them running out of that given commodity or given good and make that delivery. So that's sort of, all these results from bad data, and sort of having poor ability to make decisions because your data is not clean.
I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I have gotten someone calling me, be like, "I'm here, but like no one else is here. Is this the right location?" And turns out nobody updated it, or they got a tender and the carrier called and was like, "Hey, I'm showing that I'm picking up from this one location, but it should be, but like everything on the pricing agreement and like all of our system says I should be picking up in like Columbus, Ohio, but really I'm picking up in like Cincinnati. What is the actual right address?" So I cannot tell you how many times I've had something like that where you're like, I have no idea. Like, let's call and find out together.
Yeah, in that case, the driver is frustrated, the customer is frustrated, and I can assure you that's not going to be an optimal plan. Even though you came up with a good plan to begin with, it's not going to. That's why it's very important to clean the data, then build the best models possible to come up with the best plans possible.
So then, for those who are hesitant to undertake like a machine learning system, kind of like your guys's data quality engine, there's it's unknown. There's usually a high associated cost that comes with it. What's some of the easiest ways to explain the benefits? Like if you were like, this is going to help you. Yeah, it might be a little pricey up front, but this is because there's always the saying of like, oh, I have all the answers to your problems, but what are the answers to the problems? Like what is the easiest way to explain that this machine learning and this AI is going to help your business, and it's going to be a long-term value add and revenue generator.
Absolutely, Mary. So great question. So the way we've made it, and we've also evolved over time. We're now 7 years old. We've had our data quality engine up and running for about 3 years, and so the way we've sort of made it easy for clients to engage with us, one, it's a small monthly recurring fee. Two, we start with a data assessment. So if we tell you sort of here are all the issues we see, you say, wow, I didn't realize, I knew my data was bad, but I didn't realize it was this bad. So we start with that little small data assessment. We've taken the sort of, the big investment in AI off the table. It's a small monthly recurring fee. And then sort of, get in on a journey together. Another thing we also do that is different from anybody else out there is first we understand your big pain points. Where are you as a company not as efficient as you need to be? So we then tackle those pain points to deliver the operational efficiencies and get you on the path of being AI ready, enabled, and sort of, reaping the benefits of artificial intelligence.
So it's less of a here's a software, have a nice day, we'll be around if you run into issues. You guys kind of approach it more as like a partnership and kind of a consultancy where you go, whoa, 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 you're not ready. You're not ready for the big dog yet. Let's give you some puppy treats to get you trained up and ready to go.
Absolutely. It is a very consultative approach. It's a very collaborative approach. It's a partnership. It's not like, here is a software or here are all the best models ever developed. You take it and you run with it because that's not going to work. They're going to be. Plus, a lot of time is spent getting access to their data into our sort of secure AWS instances. So we make that very easy for them to push the information. And then more importantly, Mary, is cleaning the data and finding the anomalies is important. But it is also important to push that information back into their customer master records, whether it's SAP or Oracle or whatever systems they use. You have to be able to clean those systems because what the whole idea of finding these issues is to clean the base systems. Because if you don't clean the base systems, you're going to have these problems over and over again.
Right, it's like beating your head against a wall. If you fix the wall, you'll still be beating your head against it. Just knock the wall down, and then then it's a solution. So, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but are there any other like major value adds other than, having clean data and being able to report it back to your customer, um, and, making sure that, your operations flow smoothly? Are there any other like major value adds right off the top just with using machine learning? Is there a freight payment application side to it? Is it just kind of the world's your oyster and there's unlimited options that you can use to improve?
So there's I'd say the latter where, once you have the data, we could apply a lot of models. But a few areas where we're very good now, I would say is demand forecasting, route planning and optimization, ensuring customers don't run out of commodities, lane optimization. So also terminal optimization. What I mean by that is labor utilization at the terminal to make sure you have the right people available at the right time to make your labor cost low, yet be able to service all your needs well. And the last one we're developing right now is actually a driver churn prediction tool to be able to predict which drivers are likely to churn when. So you can sort of say, hey, what's going on? Is it lack of proper training? Is it too much time away from family? Is it not enough revenue or not enough money that the driver is making? Because the last thing, as you know, in this tight labor market, it's the cost to recruit drivers is very high. So if you've kept good data, you've kept good HR records, you're constantly talking with your drivers, and the managers who are managing the drivers understand their pain points well, and these are documented. That's when you can apply AI to reduce churn as well.
I think that driver one is going to be huge because I mean, the drivers are their average age is older. There's a lot of driver turnover because of insert reason here. I'm excited for that one. That could be fun. I guess it would also kind of depend on how accurate and how good of note takers those driver managers are because they have to capture the driver's feelings and like their thoughts and feelings.
Yes, but it's actually there's a way to do that, and we've been talking about building an app. So here is a route. I went on the route. What were the issues? I had lots of wait time. I got there too early or I got there too late. Traffic was bad. Weather conditions were bad. Uh, when I got there, it was the wrong address. And all these things add up. So your ability to sort of, if you have smooth operations throughout the day, and you are now, you know how much money you'll make, you have good amount of work-life balance, you're going to be coming back to your wife and kids on time, that makes a big difference. You'll have happy employees. But if there is sort of struggle because of bad data and bad operations, drivers are not going to be happy. So these are kind of tied and interlinked from that perspective.
Yeah. Also, I mean, drivers love nothing more than to talk about what went wrong on the load. So that's an invaluable tool right there.
Absolutely.
So we are almost out of time, but there's one question that everyone on the show has to answer. So are you ready? It's a question dividing families, households, coworkers for ages.
Sure.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I I would say yes. And the
Okay.
reason why I say that is you got breads, buns, and piece of meat in it, and you can put ketchup and you can put mustard on top of it, some relish. So absolutely, I'd say it's a sandwich.
I mean, I'm team no because when you go to like a sandwich deli, you don't see a hot dog on the menu, but I see the other side of the coin and
There
it's
you
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
go. That was interesting. Is a hot dog a sandwich? My answer is still yes.
All right, well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. Where can everyone find you outside the show?
So outside the show, Mary, we can be reached at www.cognistix. Let me spell that out. Cognistx, just like on my shirt. Um, or you can see us on LinkedIn, that same company name. And that would be, I think, would be a great way for people to follow up. My email is sanjay@cognistix.com. So that would be a great way for us to get in touch.
Awesome. Sounds great. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Mary. You take care.
Find Check Call the Podcast anywhere you get your podcasts like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to check out the other amazing FreightWaves podcasts such as Running on Ice and Net Zero Carbon. Don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter on freightwaves.com/checkcall. See you on the internet.